Hello and welcome to this live stream. It's Sunday, November 10th, 2024. So today I'm going to talk about chromatic lines, bebop type lines, kind of relating back to a few of the things that I released this week on the YouTube channel. And so I'll discuss a little bit about that and generally have a chat. So join me in the chat segment here, and I'm going to just noodle a little bit with some of these concepts in mind as folks join in. So I welcome you and encourage your comments to this and chats to this live stream. All right, so a few things that we talked about on the channel this past week. I started out the week with some octatonic kinds of ideas and concepts. The kind of the octatonic diminished type half whole step sort of scale. Thought a few of the things I might cover today might involve maybe perspectives on scales and how to practice those, how to maybe work with them. And my take on that would be to, or my recommendation would be to use scales in your practice session to develop a knowledge of the fingerboard, develop a knowledge of the kind of connection between melodic lines and harmony. So kind of an ear training, instrumental training sort of perspective on it. We talked a little bit this week about Charlie Banacos. Hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but Um, I was inspired by the recent Mike Stern interview uh, with uh, with Rick Beato, and he was talking about that. Um, so yeah, thinking about scales and sort of concepts. So you can utilize the practice of scales as sort of an ear training kind of thing, and think about how each one of those notes relates to a chord. That's why I really highly recommend that you use um, a practice aid like iReal Pro, Band in a Box. Let me know if there are any others out there that you check out. There are also the Aversold, which you can use for tunes for sure. But I think one advantage of the program type backing tracks is that you can set up a chord on on there and just loop it, you know, and just get into that sound. So if you're thinking, C minor, then try to see if you can hear what each one of those notes sounds like on that particular sound, right? So there's a lot of practice aids, so do that. Also, guitar looper, set up a little bit of a thing here, and do either some real basic just strumming. That's really all you need to do, and to hear how the scale tones kind of interact with everything. So um, so yeah, digging into the sound. um, but the octatonic scale, um, which you might think octatonic scales, right? Because you have an 8-note kind of collection of tones. So you could think of that in terms of bebop and all that. So most of our musical systems are based around either 5-note scales or 7-note scales. So you've got kind of pentatonic type scales. You've got 7-note type scales, and then those places in between are really great opportunities for um, chromatic type things. Now with the 5-note scales, there are opportunities for kind of both, right? Because once you end up with 7 notes and you try to add another one, you're going to get chromatic tones involved just by the numbers, right? Because if you have, say, this collection of tones here, C Dorian, right? You have a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step. So there's nothing smaller or sorry, larger than a whole step, right? So you're going to have to fill in one of those whole steps with a series of half steps, right? So, and that's one thing I would really encourage folks to do is try stuff, like see what things sound like if I what would this sound like if I did this, if I took this thing that I knew and I just try to add a note or something. Amos, welcome and good morning. How's it going? So yeah, let's say you've got Dorian, C Dorian. Try to fill in one of those whole steps, So I filled in this first whole step. The next one, that's a pretty cool one because you kind of get away with a major third on minor. Uh, and then, right, this can be kind of a bluesy sound. Right, and that gives you kind of that sort of bebop kind of sound, Right. So experimenting with 6 notes, take a pentatonic scale that you might know real well and take it from there. Good morning, Jeffrey. How's it going? Yep, I'm grabbing some coffee. I actually had quite a lot of coffee this morning, more than usual. So yeah, those are some, kind of perspectives on practice, um, and when you practice, I would try to spend, maybe 10, 15 minutes really like intensely doing something really specific, something that's kind of hard to do, right? Something that's a little bit tough. And then, give yourself a breather and, you know, um, walk around a little bit, and then, maybe try to even just noodle, just free form, free association, just what does it sound like if I, play this note, right? Can be a little bit freeing, right? So the more you practice the scales, the more kind of connections I think one makes, right? And then it kind of frees you up. So in practice, try to think of something really, like specific and somewhat restrictive and limited, to train on, and then what what I think it does is, allows you over time to gain more freedom, in your lines, and kind of explore more, um, as well. So, Chu writes in, can you play a song? So, yeah, I mean, I'm doing some improvisation, on, some tunes and stuff like that. That very first one that I did was, based on the changes loosely to, Stella by Starlight, which is one of my favorite ones to, improvise over. But, yeah, the live stream is not necessarily uh, something that I don't know if I'll be doing, like, I don't know. That's a good question, but, I do plan to improvise quite a bit, but I'm not necessarily, um, gonna be, uh, performing in the context of, like a typical gig or anything. It's kind of question and answer, a little improvisation. Thanks for your, question. Thomas writes in. He's 58, intermediate. Awesome. Yeah, so what are some of the things that you're trying to work on there? Yeah, great. So yeah, take yourself out of your comfort zone and push your progress. hmm So early in the week, I talked a bit about um, four dominant seventh type scales that I'd really recommend having kind of going for yourself. And so if you're feeling pretty comfortable on playing a dominant seventh chord, and then you're kind of working with the sound of the chord scale, you want to see if you can do a few other types of things, but I would definitely recommend really knowing your mixolydian, right? And then you can kind of branch out there. Oh, thank you for Amos for that. I totally forgot. Yeah, I would encourage folks to like and subscribe. Turn on notifications. Yeah. Yeah, get the word out, share with a friend and all that. I'll mention too that I'm streaming today to a bunch of different places on x.com, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And so my main hub of activity, I would say, is YouTube. And so if you're on one of those other platforms, check me out there at youtube.com/@fretprints, right? I call it Fretprints because my name is so very common on the internet. So if I had a more unique name, I probably would have just stuck to that. But we have Jim Ellis coaches out there. We have Jim Ellis car dealers. A bunch of Jim Ellises out there in the world. So that's kind of my unique handle, and it kind of ties into some efforts that I'm working towards, which is to help bring some teaching aids to folks. I wrote an app a ways back, and so kind of the idea of frets and prints, I mean printouts and visuals. So all right, so yeah, so if you know Mixolydian really well, try out the try flatting the nine, right? That could be a real great introduction into creating a little more tension in your dominant seventh type lines and moving that forward. So take in the case of G7, take the note A and lower that by a half step. Right? And then that'll give you a little more attention. So that comes out of the C harmonic major, which is kind of cool. Okay, we've got some comments here. Amos says he works on everything. Practice to any radio. Yeah. 6 days a week. That's perfect. Wow. Yeah. 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. Yep. Awesome. That consistent um, effort at it, that is exactly it. I'm so very convinced about that. Um, Daryl, yes, these are flat wound strings. Um, I am almost 100% certain that these are Dogal flat wounds. But sometimes I do lose track of which strings are on what guitars, so I apologize if I'm mistaken about that, but I believe that's the case. But I generally use either those, which I'm fairly new to, the DeGauls, but I've had a really good experience with them. Or D'Addario Chromes I like as well, and the Tomastic flat wounds, I also like those. One solo that I request. Well, let me know what you're interested in, Bipin. Thanks for writing in. Okay. Anakin Skywalker. Okay. Listening to a lot of your stuff, approaching chords from half steps and whole steps. I like this way of thinking about scale degrees when I improv. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I put out this video earlier this week. I've inspired by Mike Stern talk, and I really love Mike Stern. He's kind of one of my favorites, one of my favorite guitarists. Just stylistically, his tunes really appeal to me a lot. I have a couple of his tunes on my channel. So just the kind of grooves too as well, um, and his playing and what he's doing generally overall. It's really great. So it was really nice to see that interview, and for me, the Rick Beato interviews. I mean, I was waiting for the Matheny for a long time. John Schofield and Mike Stern, and he's covered those three, and that's really, those folks are really kind of important to me in what I'm interested in. So it's very cool. Sweet Child of Mine. I mean, I've played that, but I don't think I'm just gonna play that on the spot right now. But I appreciate your request. Daryl says he spent 1 year with Frank Gambale. Wow, yeah, that's awesome. A real fretboard master. Does he use uniform tuning? Am I thinking of someone else? Does he tune in all fourths? And did you do that? If that is the case, but that's awesome. I'd love to hear more about that. Okay. Okay, yeah, I remember that tune. Anakin says he's gonna learn Black and White by Michael Jackson. Yeah, if I recall, Paul McCartney was on that recording. Very cool. Cool. Mike Hearn or Herm. I'm having a little trouble reading it, but I'll check them out too. Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, yeah, the half step below. So I think I mentioned this on the channel, half step below and diatonic note above. So one thing I would do is just really maybe even take key of C and um, apply that concept to other chords, in there throughout. So, um, okay, Paul was on another track of Michael's. That was a really good one. Cool. Say. Cool. How many years have you been playing the guitar? I think 30 years. Daryl says, nice guitar. Thank you. This is Ibanez AS200 from probably the mid 2010s. Bipin says, I would love to have that guitar. So this is a guitar that you could definitely find. This is pretty. There's a lot of production on this guitar, so you could definitely get one. So this is the Japanese model, but these you can, I would say, pretty easily find this model of guitar used. They're new. So older than you, like double. Yeah, I'm getting up there. I don't know. Not all bad. Okay. Nice guitar. Okay. Martin, thanks for writing in. Hi there. Asking how you get your vocal sound in this live. Yeah, so I'm just going. I've got a microphone right up above my head here. Going into a mic pre and into the interface. Okay. Let's see. We got it's a few months ago. Steely Dan, my older school. Steely Dan. Jazz pop. Oh, okay. Check out Plastic Love. All right, that sounds cool. What should you learn next? Yeah, I would. It depends on what you're aiming for. If you're playing for your own enjoyment, just do the things that you like to hear the most, I would say. Or if you like to write, maybe write things that are similar to some of the things that you like to listen to, and then kind of practice those type tunes. If you have gigs, or you're trying to go to jam sessions, then you want to really focus on gaining repertoire on the most commonly played tunes. And there are a lot of videos on YouTube kind of spelling out just what those are. So that would be, it's all kind of depending on what your interests are. So if I would say on the kind of two extremes, you could start your own original band, and or even if you don't want to do that, record and use some VSTs and record your original music. So I would say that would be kind of like one extreme. And then if you want to play, jam sessions and play gigs at private events or casuals or whatever, learn a lot of the most commonly tunes commonly played tunes and focus on those. And probably ideally you'd want to work on both of those two areas, um, is what I would say. But my Gold Teeth 2 is one I thought was really cool to play. Um, it works really nice, and it's pretty challenging in some respects. So I would try that one maybe. Deacon Blues felt like a challenge. Cool. Oh, that's always a good thing. That in your repertoire, yeah. Okay. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, from Nepal. I'd really love to visit Nepal at some point. Very cool. Good night. Yeah, it must be late there. How many paintbrushes? Guitars do you own? Yeah. It's funny you say that because I do think of them as kind of tools. Um, so I don't know if I've just never, found like the guitar or if just there isn't one. I don't know. I haven't really felt like that's been part of my experience. So I just have, this one is kind of my all-arounder. I don't know exact number. These guitars on my left behind me are more for my in-person students who are maybe just beginners to try out and size up. So I have ukuleles and all these, but these are not guitars that I necessarily play. But I do have this nice ukulele just behind me. And these are kind of my acoustics. I just try to cover the things that can get me to record something or to teach something, or they're all really they all have like sort of a specific purpose. So that's kind of my steel string, nylon string, and then I've got the solid body, a Japanese made Ibanez. I forget the number on it, but sort of Les Paul style, 70s ish. I don't think it's in production anymore. Then I've got these kind of acoustics that I plug in. I use those sometimes for gigs, and for teaching online, I can plug in direct. So then I have some basses. So I'm not sure the exact number, but it's really not a lot. And I don't really collect instruments. They're mostly for a specific purpose. So yeah, and I generally look for tunes, or not tunes, but guitars that are good value for money. They have a certain quality, minimum quality, and then I'm gonna try not to get anything fancy above that. But it all depends on one's budget and stuff like that. So, but I find Ibanez and Godin, even though they're certainly expensive, but I find that those are, and the Yamaha. So I find those are really good value for money. So Javan, speaking of Japan, welcome. Yeah, Steely Dan is so amazing. So many incredible, studio musicians played with them and everything. Korean made PRS sounds amazing for their price. I bet, I think those are, I've heard good things. I don't think I've played them. The American made ones are, wow, just our United States made ones, which is actually pretty close to where I am. It's here in Maryland. But they are really, really expensive. Got a Charvel. Never wanted another guitar again. Okay, cool. uh, remade Charvel series is nice. Cool. I think there's really the thing is, I'm gonna say I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, but in the last, I don't know, 20 years or maybe less, um, quality has gone up in general. I think prices come down, maybe. Um, I mean that value for money thing is just a really good. I think it's really been a good time to buy guitars. They've kind of got it down in a sense, like guitar manufacturers. That's my experience. I don't know. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. Um, of course, pandemic and post-pandemic, that could be a different story now. I don't know, but guitars seem to be pretty decent. I can look at a really cheap guitar and they can be really nice. So that is kind of a cool thing. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining me. It looks like everything went well with the stream. My stream to like 5 different places. So that seems to have worked out pretty well. All right, so I was a little nervous about that. Javon, semi-hollow body, Korean, made, Zach Mayer model, eBay, $400. Awesome. PRS USA are 30% higher. Yep. That sounds about right. All right, everybody. Yeah, you have a great day too. Thanks so much for writing in. I really do appreciate the chatting. Today has been awesome. So thanks so much for that. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Turn on notifications. Follow me on X, Instagram, Facebook, but of course my main hub is here on YouTube. Anakin, thanks so much. Wow, awesome, super chat. Really appreciate it. You have a good one too. Much appreciated, and I'll see you all in the next one.